Shalom, brothers and sisters. I want to share with you some scripture that Yahuwah laid on my heart. It might take the whole video to do this, and it might take more than one video, so bear with me. I just want y'all to grasp this. Ask for the rock to lead you to the truth in all this. Okay, this is Matthew chapter 24. Okay. And going out, Yahushua went away from the Mikdash, and his Talmudim came near to the point to point out to him the buildings of the Mikdash. And Yahushua said to them, Do you not see all these? Truly I say to you, not one stone shall be left here upon another at all, which shall not be thrown down. And as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the Talmudim came to him separately, saying, Say to us, when shall this be, and what is the sign of your coming, and of the end of the age? And Yahushua answering said to them, Take heed that no one leads you astray. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach. And they shall lead many astray. And you shall begin to hear fightings and reports of fightings. See that you are not troubled, for these have to take place, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and reign against reign. And there shall be scarcities of food, deadly diseases, earthquakes in places, and all these are the beginning of birth pains. Then they shall deliver you up to affliction, and kill you, and you shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. Then many shall stumble, and shall deliver up one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise up, and lead many astray. And because of the increase in lawlessness, the love of many shall become cold. But he who shall have endured to the end shall be saved. Okay. And this good news of the reign shall be proclaimed in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and the end shall come. And then the end shall come. So when you see the abomination that lays waste, spoken of by Daniel the Navi, put up in the Mikdash, he who reads, let him understand. Then let those who are in Yehuda flee to the mountains. Let him who is in the housetop not come down to take whatever out of his house. And let him who is in the field not turn back to get his garment. And woe to those who are pregnant and those who are nursing children in those days. And pray that your flight does not take place in the winter or on the Shabbat. For then there shall be a great distress, such as not been since the beginning of the world, until this time, nor shall ever be. And if those days were not shortened, no flesh would be saved, but for the sake of the chosen ones those days shall be shortened. If anyone thus says to you, Look, here is Hamashiach, or there, do not believe, for false messiahs and false prophets shall arise. And they shall show great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the chosen ones. So I have forewarned you. So if they say to you, Look, he is in the desert, do not go. Or look, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe. For as lightning comes from the east and shines to the west, so also shall the coming of the Ben of Adam be. For wherever the dead body is, there the vultures shall be gathered together. And immediately after the distress of those days, the sun shall be darkened, the moon shall not give his light, and the stars shall fall from the Shemayim, the powers of the Shemayim shall be shaken. Then the sign of the Ben of Adam shall appear in the Shemayim, and then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the Ben of Adam coming out of the clouds of the Shemayim, with power and much esteem. And he shall send his messengers with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his chosen ones from the four winds, from one end of the Shemayim to the other. And learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branches has already become tender and put forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So you also, when you see all these, know that he is near, at the doors. Truly I say to you, this generation shall by no means pass away until all this takes place. The Shemayim and earth shall pass away, but my word shall by no means pass away. But concerning that day and the hour, no one knows, not even the messengers of the Shemayim, but my Father only. And as the days of Noah, so also shall the coming of the Ben of Adam be. For as they were in the days before the flood, eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until that day that Noah entered into the ark. And they did not know until the flood came, and took them all away. So also shall the coming of the Ben of Adam be. Then two shall be in the field, one is taken, and one is left. Two shall be grinding at the mill, one is taken, and one left. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your Adon is coming. And know this, if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. Because of this, be ready too, for the Ben of Adam is coming at an hour when you do not expect him. Who then is a trustworthy and wise servant, whom his master put over his household, to give them food in the season? Baruch is that servant, whom the master having come shall find so doing. Truly I say to you, that he shall put him over all his possessions. But if that evil servant says in his heart, my master is delaying his coming, and begins to beat his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunkards, the master of that servant shall come on a day when he does not expect it, and an hour he does not know, and shall cut him in two, and appoint him his portions with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay, now we're in chapter 25. Then the reign of Shammim shall be compared to the 10 maidens, who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 foolish. Those who were foolish, having taken their lamps, took no oil with them, but the wise took oil in their containers with their lamps. Now while the bridegroom took time, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight a cry was heard, see, the bridegroom is coming, go out to meet him. Then all those maidens rose up and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, give us of your oil, because our lamps are going out. The wise answered, saying, no, indeed, there would not be enough for us and you. Instead, go to those who sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the wedding feast. And the door was shut. And later the other maidens also came, saying, Adonai, Adonai, open up for us. But he answered and said, truly I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, because you do not know the day nor the hour in which the Ben of Adam is coming. For it is like a man going from home, who called his own servants and delivered his possessions to them. And to the one he gave 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another 1, each according to his own ability, and went from home. And he who had received the 5 talents went and worked with him, and made other 5 talents. In the same way, he with the 2 also he gained 2 more. But he who had received the 1 went away, and dug in the ground, and hid the silver of his master. And after a long time the master of those servants came, and settled account with them. And he who had received 5 talents came, and brought 5 other talents, saying, Master, you delivered me 5 talents. See, I have gained 5 more talents besides them. And his master said to him, well done, good and trustworthy servant. You were trustworthy over a little, and I shall put you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. Then he who had received 2 talents came and said, Master, you delivered me 2 talents. See, I have gained 2 more talents besides them. His master said to him, well done, good and trustworthy servant. You were trustworthy over little, I shall put you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. And the one who has received the 1 talent also came and said, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. And being afraid, I went and hid your talent in the ground. See, you have what is yours. And the master answering said to him, you wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown, and gather where I have not scattered seed. Then you shall have put my silver with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own with interest. Therefore take away the talent from him, and give it to him who possesses 10 talents. For to everyone who possesses, more shall be given, and he who has overflowingly, and he shall have overflowing. But from him who does not possess, even what he possesses shall be taken away. And throw the worthless servant out into the outer darkness, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And when the Ben of Adam comes in his esteem, and all the Kodesh messengers with him, Then he shall sit on the throne of his esteem, and all the nations shall be gathered before him, and he shall separate them one from another, as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he shall put the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Then the sovereign shall say to those on his right hand, Come, you Baruch of my father, inherit the reign prepared for you from the foundations of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. Then the righteous shall answer him, saying, Adonai, when did we see you hungry, and we fed, or thirsty, and gave you to drink? And when did we see you a stranger, and took in, or naked, and clothed? And when did we see you sick, or in prison, and we came to you? And the sovereign shall answer and say to them, Truly I say to you, in so far as you did it to one of the least of these my brothers, you did to me. He shall then also say to those on the left hand, Go away from me, accursed ones, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his messengers. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and did not take me in. Was naked, and you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me. Then they also shall answer him, saying, Adonai, when did we see you hungry, or thirsty, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not serve you? Then he shall answer them, saying, Truly I say to you, in so far as you did not do it to the least of these, you did not do it to me. And these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into everlasting life. Okay, so I wanted to read you that one. The next one is 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Bear with me. I'm turning the pages. Okay. I suggest you read the entire scripture because I don't want to make this video way too long. I'm just going to read from 50 to 58. So, this is near the end. Yeah, this is the end of the chapter. It says, And this I say, brothers, if flesh and blood is unable to inherit the reign of Elohim, neither does corruption inherit incorruption. See, I speak a secret to you. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible has put on incorruption, and this mortal put on immortality. When this corruptible has put on incorruption, and this mortal has put on immortality, then shall come to be the word that has been written. Death is swallowed up in overcoming. O death, where is your sting? O grave, where is your overcoming? And the sting of death is the sin, and the power of the sin is the Torah. But thanks to Yahuwah, who gives us the overcoming through our Don, Yahushua HaMashiach. Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always excelling in the work of the Adon, knowing that your labor is not in vain in the Adon. Okay, so now I want to go to John chapter 16. It's going to say it's a lot of, it's not a lot of scripture, but it's a decent amount. Bear with me. If you want to, you can shut it off, watch some more later. That's what I usually do if it's a long video. Okay, so, I'm not going to read much of this one either, but I'll read enough for you to get a context, I guess. Okay, so, I'm going to start in verse 23. And in that day you shall ask me not. Truly I say to you, whatever you ask the Father in my name, he shall give you. Until now you have asked not my name. In my name, ask and you shall receive, in order that your joy might be complete. This I have spoken to you in figure of speech, but an hour is coming when I shall no longer speak to you in figures of speech, but I shall declare the Father plainly to you. And in that day you shall ask in my name, and I do not say to you that I shall pray the Father on your, and I do not say to you that I shall pray the Father on your behalf. For the Father himself loves you, because you have loved me, and have believed, and I came forth from Yahuwah. and I came forth from the Father, and have came into the world. Again I leave the world, and go to the Father. His Talmudim saying to him, See, now you are speaking plainly, and not using figure of speech. Now we know that you know all, and have no need that anyone should question you. By this we believe that you came forth from Yahuwah. Yahushua answered them, Do you now believe? See, an hour is coming, and has now come. You are scattered, each one to his own, and leave me alone. Yet I am not alone, because the Father is with me. These I have spoken to you, that in me you might have peace. In the world you have pressure. But take courage, I have overcome the world. Okay, so I have a King James too, I told you this. Now there's some scripture where, this is, for example, Matthew 24, in verse, Matthew 24, verse 29, it says, immediately after the tribulation of those days. This translation said something to the fact, I think pressures or something like that. Hold on, bear with me. 29, yeah. Move out the way. Chapter. Ugh. Sorry, this is... I have a little table I'm using, and it's not fitting everything on it. I got my Holy Scriptures, my King James, and I got my little notebook in my lap. Everything's wanting to fall off the table. Okay, so, yeah, it says distress, after the distress of those days. So instead of saying tribulation, it says distress, which pretty much the same thing. But the term that's widely known would be tribulation. And in John chapter 16, right? Yeah. John chapter 16 as well. The end, the last verse. These things I have spoken to you, that in me ye might have peace. In this world ye shall have tribulation. But be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. So, we will have tribulation. Scripture. Immediately after tribulation, the sun will be darkened. The moon will not give its light. The sign of the Ben of Adam shall appear in the Shamayim. The powers of the Shamayim shall be shaken. And then the sign of the Ben of Adam shall appear in the Shamayim. And then all the tribes of earth shall mourn. And they shall see the Ben of Adam coming out on the clouds of the Shamayim with power and much esteem. Okay. So, got that. Got that out of the way. Okay, now Romans chapter 8. Bear with me. Going the wrong way. Here we go. Romans chapter 8. Sorry about the page turning. Stick this back up there. Kind of using this as a stain. There we go. Just to hold it still and whatever. Okay. Now, this one, again, I'm not going to read this entirely. I go back, read these in your spare time. Read these in context, because it's so important you get the context. Okay. Here is chapter 8 of Romans, verse, I'm going to do 14. Yeah, so it's not too much, because it's through 39. And it's going to be a little bit. Okay, whatever. For as many, Romans chapter 8, verse 14. For as many as are led by the Ruach of Elohim, these are the sons of Elohim. For you did not receive the spirit of bondage again to fear, but you received the Ruach of adoption as sons, by whom we cry out, Abba, Father. The Ruach himself bears witness of our spirit, that we are the children of Elohim. And if the children also heirs, truly heirs of Elohim, and co-heirs with Hamashiach, if indeed we suffer with him, in order that we also be exalted together. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worth compared with the esteem that is to be revealed in us. For the intense longing of the creation eagerly waits for a revealing of the sons of Elohim. For the creation was subjected to futility, not from choice, but because of him who subjected it, in anticipation. Then the creation itself also shall be delivered from the bondage to corruption, into the esteemed freedom of the children of Elohim. For we know that all the creation groans together and suffers the pains of childbirth together until now. And not only so, but even we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Ruach, we ourselves also groan with ourselves, eagerly waiting for the adoption as sons and redemption of our body. For in this expectation we were saved, but expectation that is seen is not expectation. For when anyone sees, does he expect it? And if we expect what we do not see, we eagerly wait for it with endurance. And in the same way the Ruach helps in our weaknesses. For we do not know what we should pray, but the Ruach himself pleads our case for us with groanings unutterable. And he who searches the hearts knows what the mind of the Ruach is, because he makes intercession for the Kodeshim according to the Elohim. And we know that all works together for the good of those who love Elohim, to those who are called according to purpose. Because those who he knew beforehand, he also ordained beforehand to be confirmed to the likeness of his Ben, and that he became the firstborn among many brothers. And whom he ordained beforehand, these he also called. And whom he called, these he also declared right. And whom he declared right, these he also esteemed. What then shall we say to this? If Elohim is for us, who is against us? Truly he who did not spare his own Ben, but delivered him up on behalf of us all, now shall he not along with him freely give us all else? Who shall bring any charge against Elohim's chosen ones? It is Elohim who is declaring right. Who is he who is condemning? It is Hamashiach who died, and furthermore is also raised up, who is also at the right hand of Yahuwah, who also makes intercession for us. Who shall separate us from the love of Hamashiach? Shall pressure or distress or persecution or scarcity of food or nakedness or danger or sword? As it has been written, for your sake we are killed all day long. We are reckoned as sheep of slaughter. But in all this we are more than overcomers through him who loved us. For I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor messengers, nor principalities, nor power, neither the present nor the future, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of Yahuwah, which is in Messiah Yahusha our Adon. Okay, another scripture in Romans chapter 12, verses 9 through 21. 9. Okay. Let love be without hypocrisy. Shrink from what is wicked. Cling to what is good. In brotherly love, tenderly loving towards one another. In appreciation, giving preference to each other. Not idle in duty, ardent in spirit, serving the Adon. Rejoicing in expectancy, enduring under pressure, continuing steadfastly in prayer, imparting to the needs of the Kodeshim, pursuing kindness towards strangers. Barak those who persecute you. Barak and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice, and weep with those who weep. Be of the same mind toward one another. Do not be proud in mind, but go along with the lowly. Do not be wise in your own estimation. Repay no one for evil for evil. Respect what is right in the sight of all men. If possible on your part, be at peace with all men. Beloved, do not revenge yourself, but give place to the wrath, for it has been written, vengeance is mine, I shall repay, says Yahuwah. Instead, if your enemy hungers, feed them. If he thirsts, give him drink. For in so doing you shall heap coals of fire on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Again, the word pressures. In King James, it says tribulation. So, tribulation. basically my subject today. Tribulation. We will endure tribulation. It's numerous times written in Scripture. And, okay, so in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, when it mentioned the last trumpet, I'm going to go into that. In Revelations chapters 10 and 11, it mentions what I believe to be the last trumpet. And also in Daniel chapter 12, and I'll get there too. But first I want to read to you Revelations 1 through 7. And I saw another strong messenger coming down from... Well, actually, I really want to... Okay, I want to kind of give you a preview. Okay, let's see. Chapter 8, it's in Revelations, and when he opened the seventh seal, there came to be silence in the Shemaim for about a half an hour. And I saw 7 messengers who stand before Elohim, and to them were given 7 trumpets. Another messenger came and stood on the altar, holding a golden censer, and much incense was given to him, and that he should offer it with the prayers of all the Kodeshim upon the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense with the prayers of the Kodeshim went up before Elohim from the hand of the messenger. And the messenger took the censer and filled it with fire from the altar, and threw it to the earth, and there were noises and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. And the 7 messengers who held the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The first messenger sounded, and there came to be hail and fire mixed with blood, and they were thrown to the earth. And a third of the trees were burnt up, and all the green grass was burnt up. A third of the earth was... Yeah, we're getting fires, but not to this extremity. All the green grass was burnt up. The second messenger sounded, and as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea, and a third of the sea became blood. And a third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. And a third messenger sounded, and a great star fell from Shemaim, burning like a torch. It fell on a third of the rivers, and on the foundations of water. And the name of the star is Wormwood, and a third of the waters became wormwood. And many men died from the waters, because they were made bitter. And the fourth messenger sounded, and a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so the third of them were darkened, and a third of the day did not shine, and likewise the night. And I looked, and I heard an eagle flying in the midshemim, crying with a loud voice, Woe, woe to those dwelling upon the earth, because the remaining blast of the trumpet of the 3 messengers who are about to sound. So those are the first 3 trumpets. Okay? Or wait. The first 4, sorry, my bad. Yeah, the 4th messenger. The 5th is in chapter 9, and the 6th, and then after that, there's no mention of a trumpet or anything like a trumpet. Now, in chapter 10, I'm going to read that now. And I saw another strong messenger coming down from the Shemaim, robed in a cloud and a rainbow on his head, and his face was like the sun, and his feet like columns of fire. And having in his hand a little book opened, and he placed his right foot on the sea, and his left foot on the land. And he cried with a loud voice, and as when a lion roars. And when he cried out, 7 thunders spoke their sound. And when the 7 thunders spoke their sounds, I was about to write, but I heard a voice from the Shemaim saying to me, Seal up what the 7 thunders spoke, and do not write them. And the messenger whom I saw standing on the sea and on the land lifted up his right hand to the Shemaim, and swore by him who lives forever and ever, who created the Shemaim and what is in it, and the earth and what is in it, and the sea and what is in it, and there shall be no further delay, and that there shall be no further delay. But in the days of the sounding of the 7th messenger, when he was about to sound, the secret of Elohim shall also be ended, and he declared to his servants the Navim. Okay, I wanted to read you that part of chapter 10, and you can read all this in context. I highly suggest you read the Revelations, but I also suggest you read the prophets too, because a lot of what the prophets spoke about is in Revelations, and a lot of it is revealed through those prophets. I'm talking about like Old Testament prophets, Isaiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Jeremiah, Zechariah, Zephaniah, Malachi, all of them. I suggest you read them because there's a lot of stuff like can be explained through these like when it talks about like kings in it, and it talk about the horns and the mountains and what all these things represent. It's all there. I highly recommend you read it. Okay, so chapter 11. I mentioned this because it also mentions a seventh messenger sounding. Now, this is about the two witnesses, the two olive trees, the two lampstands that are standing before Elohim in the earth. So it's chapter 11, verse 4. These are the two olive trees, the two lampstands that are standing before the Elohim of the earth. These are the two witnesses. I shall give unto my two witnesses, and they shall navah 1,260 days, clad in sackcloth. Okay. And these are the two. Okay, this is chapter 3. I'll just read this in context too. I'm not gonna read the entire thing, but I want you to kind of get what this is talking about. Okay, this is when the two witnesses are here. This is during the tribulation. This is the 100 and I'm not good with numbers. Sorry, 200 or 1,260 days, which is 3.5 years. Do the math. Okay, these are the two olive trees, the two lampstands that are standing before Elohim of the earth. And if anyone wants to harm them, fire comes out of their mouth and consumes their enemies. And if anyone wants to harm them, he has to be killed in that way. These possess authority to shut the Shemaim, so that no rain falls in the days of their Nebuah. And they possess authority over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they want. And when they have ended their witness, the beast coming out of the pit of the deep shall fight against them and overcome them and kill them. And their bodies lie in the streets of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Mizraim, where also Adon was impaled. And some of the peoples and tribes and tongues and nations see the dead bodies for 3.5 days, and do not allow their dead bodies to be placed into tombs. And those dwelling on the earth rejoice over them and exult. And they shall send gifts to each other, because the two Nebim tortured these dwelling on the earth. And after the 3.5 days, a spirit of high from Elohim entered into them, and they stood up on their feet. And a great fear fell on those who saw them. And they heard a loud voice from the Shemaim saying to them, "Come up here." And they went up into the Shemaim in a cloud, and their enemies saw them. And in that hour there came to be a great earthquake, and 1/10 of the city fell. And in the earthquake 7,000 men were killed, and the rest became afraid, and gave esteem to the Elohim of the Shemaim. The second woe is past. See, the third woe is coming speedily. And the seventh messenger sounded, and there came to be loud voices in the Shemaim, saying, "The reign of this world has become that of our Adon and of his Mashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever." And the 24 elders sitting before Elohim on their thrones fell on their faces and worshipped Elohim, saying, We give you thanks, O Yahuwah El Shaddai, the one who is and who was and who is coming, because you have taken your great power and reigned. And the nations were enraged, and your wrath is come, and the time of the dead to be judged, and to give the reward to your servants, the Navim, and to the Kodeshim, and to those who revere your name, small and great, and to destroy those who destroy the earth. And the Mishkan of Elohim was opened in the Shemaim, and the ark of his covenant was seen in his Mishkan. And there came to be lightnings and voices and thunderings, and an earthquake and great hail. So, you see where it said the seventh messenger sounded. That's the seventh trumpet. And after that, there's no mention of a seventh trumpet that I've seen. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm a human. I do err. But, yeah. And I wanted to get this clear to you, too. Revelations isn't wrote in chronological order. We're not getting the chronology of the end times in Revelations. Sometimes it's talking about the future. Sometimes it's talking about the present, and sometimes it's talking about the past. You just have to let the Ruach lead you and teach you what it's saying to this. Listen to what the Ruach says to the assemblies. Okay. Now I'm going to Daniel chapter 12. Just listen to what the Ruach says. Okay, this is Daniel chapter 12. Okay, before this, I might read this too. Okay, yeah. This is chapter 11 of Daniel. And it's, I guess I can talk, I'll start it, verse 40. At that time, at the end of the sovereign of the south shall push at him, and the sovereign of the north rush against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, and with horsemen, and with many ships. He shall enter the lands, and shall overflow and pass over. And he shall enter the splendid land, and many shall stumble, but these escape from his hand, Edom, Moab, and the chief sons of Ammon. And he shall stretch out his hand against the lands, and the land of Mitzrayim shall not escape. And he shall rule over treasures of gold and silver, and over all the riches of Mitzrayim, and Libyans, Cushites shall be at his steps. And then reports from the east and the north shall disturb him. And he shall go out with a great wrath to destroy and put many under the ban. He shall pitch his tents of his palace between the seas and splendid Kodesh mountain, but shall come to his end with none to help him. Yeah, this is talking about a sovereign. Actually, I want to start here. I'll read up to 40 now. Sorry, I'm going out of order, okay? And a strong one shall arise from him, and profane the Mikdash, the stronghold, and shall take away that which is continual, and place the abomination that laid waste. When it's talking about, spoken of by Daniel, the prophet, this is what it's talking about. And the strong one shall arise from him, and profane the Mikdash, set apart place, and the stronghold, and shall take away that which is continual, and place the abomination that lays waste. And by flatteries he shall profane those who do wickedness against the covenant. But the people who know their Elohim shall be strong, and shall act. And those of the people who have insight shall give understanding to many. And they shall stumble by sword and by flame, by captivity and plundering for days. And when they stumble, they shall be helped, a little help. But many shall join them by flatteries. And some of those who have insight shall stumble, to refine them, and to cleanse them, and to make them white until the time of the end, for it is still for an appointed time. And the sovereign shall do as he pleases, exalt himself, and show himself to be great among every mighty one, and speak incredible matters against the El of mighty ones, and shall prosper until the wrath has been accomplished. For what has been decreed shall be done. And he shall have no regards for mighty ones of his fathers, nor for the desire of women, nor have regard for any mighty one, but exalt himself above them all. But in his place he shall give esteem to a mighty one of strongholds, and to a mighty one who his fathers is not known. And he shall give esteem with gold and silver, and with precious stones and costly gifts, and shall act against the strongest strongholds with a foreign mighty one, which he shall acknowledge. And he shall increase in esteem, and cause them to rule over many, and divide the land for gain. And then it goes into 40, which I just read. And now after that is chapter 12, and this is where I want to read to you. Now at the time Michael shall stand up, the great head, who is standing over the sons of your people. And there shall be a time of distress, such as never was since there was a nation until that time. And the King James says tribulation. I'm not reading that. It's in there. Read it, Daniel chapter 12. Turn to it in your scriptures. Read along with me, because it helps a lot, and you be able to see the differences in the translations and see where it's. I like to compare the different translations. I don't know. Anyway, and there shall be a time of distress, such as never was since there was a nation until that time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, everyone who is found written in the book. And many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth wake up, some to everlasting height, and some to reproach, everlasting abhorrence. And those who have insight shall shine like the brightness of the expanse, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, hide the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Many shall diligently search and knowledge shall increase. Then I, Daniel, looked and saw 2 others standing, one on this bank of the river and the other on that bank. And one said to the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, How long unto the end of these wonders? And I heard a man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, and he held up his right hand and his left hand in the Shemaim, and swore by him who lives forever and ever, and it would be for an appointed times, and half a time. And we have ended scattering the power of the Kadesh people. Then all shall be completed. And I heard him, I did not understand. So I said, My master, what is the latter of these? And he said, Go, Daniel, for the words are hidden and sealed to the time of the end. Many shall be cleansed and made white and refined, but the wicked shall do wickedness. And none of the wicked shall understand, but those who have insight shall understand. And from the time in which his continual is taken away, and the abomination that laid waste his place, is 1,290 days. Baruch is he who is waiting earnestly, and comes to the 1,335 days. But you, go your way to the end and rest, and arise to your lot at the end of days. Okay, I'm going to stop here. I just pray for you all. I'm going to continue with a couple other scriptures, and I might have some more than I have right now. But I just pray that you take this word to heart, and this will help you to wake up to see that time is short, and we don't have much time. And there's a lot of false teachers, false prophets, anti-messiahs, all that in this world today, as there was back then. And stay in the Word. Stay in the Word. Stay in prayer. Stay seeking Yah's face. Don't just read the scriptures as a storybook. It's more than that. He is His Word. Yahuwah is His Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Elohim. He is His Word. And He speaks to us through His Word. You just have to listen and not be bogged down by all these distractions. And I just pray for you all, and may Yahuwah bless you and keep you, and make His face shine upon you and be gracious unto you, and may He bring you peace. Amen.